You guys spoke, and here it is. The next episode dedicated to S54 throttle body rebuild. That's right, we've got an entire S54 throttle body. We've got some parts that have been cleaned. This has been vapor honed by Jordan Sarette, the same guy who did and provided our ABS pump for our E30 M3, which we'll install soon. Almost everything has been reconditioned except that for the things that we're going to actually recondition in this video. As you can see, we've got all new zinc coated hardware. We do have to polish this, polish our rod. And we've got each individually labeled cylinder for each individually labeled cylinder. Everything had to stay the same when I disassembled it. And in each bag, there is hardware, some plastic parts, things that we just couldn't zinc coat or clean or vapor hone. So we're just gonna do it here today in this video. We've got new ICV bypass tubes. We've got them powder coated that blue that we all know and love. We've got new O-rings, new rubber, new rods, and all new zinc coated hardware. Here's what we're not gonna do in this video. What we're not gonna be doing in this video is time lapses and music. What we are gonna be doing in this video, maximum explanation.
All right, maybe there'll be some time lapses. Sue me. Actually, don't sue me. I can't afford it. So listen, here's the deal. I'm doing time lapses for the disassembly because it's super, super easy. Just make sure that when you disassemble this with normal hand tools, that you bag and tag all the individual cylinders with each of the throttle bodies so that they can match up when you reassemble. So important because they are tuned that way from the factory. Every single one is specific to that cylinder. Here you can see we're getting everything coated.
Let's get right into it. In this case, we've got to clean this stuff up. We're going to do one at a time, right? One at a time. We're going to start off with cylinder one. As you can see, the bearings here have been completely reconditioned and cleaned. These are blind bearings, so unless they're absolutely, well, this is blind, and also these are blind as well. These are 8mm, and these are 12mm. And as you can see, they have been cleaned and re-greased by Jordan. Everything is incredibly clean here, and we are going to reassemble this one first. Now this has not been adjusted. We did not adjust that. We're not adjusting anything on here. We're just going to be reassembling with the exact same parts. Do not change this. This is set up from the factory. All these are same set up from the factory as they were, so don't change anything. Let's get started with the cleaning. Now cylinder one is just a little bit different than the rest of them, and the reason being is because this one has a slightly longer shaft that allows for the TPS to come through and get mounted here. So because of that, the way that this channel affixes here is through an external circlip which is broken here, so I have to repair it. In the meantime, I'm going to use one of these, which is actually resident on all the other 5 cylinders. But for now, all we want to do is clean this guy up real good, make sure that we keep track of what the wave washers and the spacer washers go, and of course the butterfly. Now the butterfly is very important that I've marked exactly where the butterfly installs, how it installs, like this, or backside, right? So you have to be very careful about the configuration that you install this, and that's why I've marked them just like that. Now that this puppy's all nice and cleaned up, now it's time to polish the butterfly itself. Now, this thing is going to look amazing. We're going to turn it from this to this. And I'm going to show you how. Now, I want to get a little bit more grime off, so I'm just going to be using a Brillo pad to kind of take away the big stuff. This is going to be a little bit harder, this piece, obviously, but we can get all that off. We're going to be using Blue Magic Metal Polish Cream, and we'll be using a high-speed buffing wheel that's hand-operated. And we're going to clamp it in place. We're going to do half, 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 half to make sure that we get the whole thing. And we're going to use a rag here as we clamp this thing down, just like that. And this takes a lot of finesse because you really need to know exactly how to feather it, right? You got to kind of put a little bit of pressure and then go away. Or if you don't, you're going to end up, you know, it's not going to be unfixable damage, but you're going to end up kind of like putting scuff marks in it, and you don't want the scuff marks. You want this to shine up real nice. So let me get this thing rigged up and get the camera set up nice so you can see exactly what I'm doing, And you'll see that I approach it from one side and then also the other side, but I have to do it differently, and the technique's just slightly different for each side depending on the position that I'm in. And that's the beginning. Do a couple more passes of that, and it'll shine nice, shine up real nice. Well, let's do the other side. Let me zoom out and show you my... Kind of compare here, see the difference? And now you just put this side in carefully because you've just polished it, but clamp it in real good and do the same thing on this side. And then it just becomes like a lather, rinse, repeat. As you want to fine tune this and get it perfect, you can just keep on swapping side to side, do front back until it becomes almost like a mirror shine. Let's polish it up. Final polish is always the best, like a nice clean rag. Kind of get everything off. And then, there it is. A little bit better than it was before, huh? All right, so I've got all my parts laid out. I've got my shaft with the wave washer and the spacers in there. I've used some silicone grease just to give it a little bit of a how's your father here. Even though that the bearings are already greased by Jordan, that's okay. And what we're going to do is I'm going to put this washer or this circular plastic spring encapsulator installed there, and then this guy is going to get installed just like that. And then we're going to install all the way through. Okay. You can see that the spring kind of sits nice in there, and we need to take that and we're going to be turning it around, but we're going to do that later. For now, we need to get that butterfly valve in. And the way the butterfly valve installs is with the number 4 on the bottom. So, just like that. And when you install it, you're going to have to play a little finesse to make sure that those holes line up close enough. And when they do, you'll know because the guy will end up wanting to just kind of find its home. So you got to be really careful, don't nick anything. And I think it's going to be, you'll see it's not turning because it's binding up. There we go. Okay. So now it kind of found its home. Now this, at this point, is when you need to tighten the screws, when this is already at its idle. And again, don't ever change this screw. This is preset by the factory, and they're all preset by the factory. So now that I've got this set, I want to keep it in the idling position and hold it there as I get the screws on. On this, and I'm going to give it just a tiny bit of blue 242 thread locker, and you want to put just the tiniest little bit. That's it, not a lot, okay? Now that you've done that, you cannot just pick up the screws and drop them in. They are also non-magnetic, so you can't do that either. So you need to use pliers and just place it in. Just like that. And now as you're holding this, you're going to be using a flathead screwdriver, a good quality one too, because you really want it to dig. You really want it to dig into this. You don't want to strip it. Okay. It's not fully torqued yet. And then this one here. Okay. And I'm holding this thing closed and give it a nice little, good. Now that we've got that, we can now install our washer here. And then we can also install this guy, which is not the right thing for this application, but that's okay. But at least we can get it in. Okay, and now it's spinning, but we have to tension the spring. The spring sits down in there just like that, and then this guy comes around. Let me use my handy dandy pliers again. Go, just like that. And you can see. Okay. Final touch on this one in particular, this O-ring broke. This is the O-ring for the TPS. We replaced it with a new O-ring right here. And you stick it in there and wipe it down, and this guy is ready to go. One of the most fun parts about this, and that is the blue ICV passageways. And these can be greased up really quick. And just put it on top, and that's on too. Now a little bit of grease on the outside of the O-ring here, at least just on one for now. We don't really need to put it on the other. And then you just take it, put it in there, push, and it's in. I'm going to do the other 5. Now that we have all 6 throttle bodies complete, now it's time to polish the rod. Yeah, I said it. And then also polish the fuel rail. All right, so this is a stainless steel rail. It's got some scoring on it and it's got some dirt on it. So what we're gonna do is use this, and we're just gonna polish the rail just like this. It's gonna be like a brushed look, which is fine, because it's gonna make for an excellent base for later doing our polish. I'm going to polish it in the same way that we polish the butterfly valves, which is put it in the vise, give it a couple passes. Okay, now I'm just going to... All right, I got all the parts laid out. They're all polished. They're all basically set up on where they need to be. And now it's just a matter of installing one thing at a time. Now this guy here is going to be the first one in. And that basically goes in like that. You can take this and just put it in just like that. Now we've got this, we can put on our, right there. Goes down here, like this. Number 4. Into. Made a little mistake. I gotta turn that guy around. Okay, that's much better right there. That's exactly where it should be. Now, in order to get these things installed, it's kind of clever, it's kind of tricky on how to get these things set up. Now this, oops. These are not shoulder bolts. All these guys that are pointing upwards are not shoulder bolts except one. So this shoulder bolt does not move at all. It is literally fixed in place. Now let me kind of explain what I'm talking about here. All right, so this one here moves very, very little, but this one here moves way more. See that? And that's because these are not shoulder bolts. These are just normal hex bolts. These are the shoulder bolts that really hold it in place. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna clamp this guy down. That is going to be our, in our alignment, that's gonna set where this goes. And then this is gonna be set to that, and then this is gonna be set to these two, and that one, and so on and so forth. So we're gonna start here and work our way down. And for this last guy, we want to put this guy on, this guy through, and then this screws through, just like that. Now we've got to get all of our rods connected between the selector arm and each of the throttle bodies. We're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 6 of them. Of course, this one here is not gonna get connected because we are going to be doing something a little bit different with this that you'll see in another episode. These guys together, pretty simple. What do is just push. Some pair of pliers, make it easier. Connect one. I'm gonna do that on all of them. All right, this is truly my most favorite part. What I did was I took these guys off of here and put them in here, and I had to press them in till they clicked into the very bottom. So now that I've done that, I can take these and insert them in just like this. Make sure that they all go in together. They're all gonna start to click in here. There we go. 2, got them in here. Okay. Okay, now they're all kind of clicked in. These holes now line up here for you to get a bolt in from the back side, like that. One will be right here.
And I know I said no music, but deal with it.